Welcome back to Canfield Corner. It's been about 2 weeks since we posted anything. It's not that anything hasn't been going on. We've actually, we've had like life-altering stuff going on. So, what do you consider life-altering? I guess would be the question. Well, if you remember a few weeks ago, month ago, something like that. Amanda was in the hospital and she was having a bunch of different tests. What all tests do you do?
I had MRI, I had CT scans, I had blood work, I had echocardiograms, and some of those I had multiple of.
Okay, so a lot of tests. And none of them were conclusive as to what she actually had. Everything said that it might be this, it might be that. Well, in the last 2 weeks, we've actually figured out the diagnosis. And the diagnosis is all because of this. That, my friends, is what's called a Lonestar tick. Okay? I've been on this earth for over half a century and I'd never heard of it until this past year. Okay? However, in the last 2 weeks, I've heard about it and learned pretty much everything I can about it. All right? The Lonestar tick is a specific tick that carries something that is called AIG. Okay? And essentially, you hear people talk about this and you don't know what it is. And some people have never even heard of it. But it's called alpha-gal syndrome. Okay? Why don't you explain what alpha-gal syndrome is? Because you've got it, not me. I shouldn't be doing all the talking.
Alpha-gal syndrome is where you develop an allergy against red meat, as in beef, pork.
Well, you can't really say red meat because it's not really just red meat. Some people, it just reacts to red meat.
Or dairy.
What Amanda has is actually a lot more than that, okay? Basically, any product that contains animal byproduct, okay? So you say, well, that's not that bad. You could just become vegan. But you can't become vegan because a lot of vegan, I'm sorry to break this to you, but a lot of vegan food has animal byproducts in it, okay? It's so bad that there's only certain toothpaste that she can use. Certain deodorants. Can't wear makeup. Okay?
Shampoo, toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper. Cannot use Charmin. If you have alpha-gal, do not use Charmin toilet paper or you will have a reaction to it. Okay? That's how upside down our world has been turned. Come on, Lou, find a place and lay down. Sorry about that. Dog walking by bumping the camera. Which is another thing. We're possibly going to have to get rid of all of our animals. The reason, just last night, Amanda was sitting here in the chair and Pip, our little dog, come up and licked her and she had an allergic reaction to the saliva on her skin. Okay, that's how severe this is. So there's no cure for it. For the rest of her life, she has to have an EpiPen with her. And some of the other things you can't take. Okay, you say, well, you have an allergic reaction, take a Benadryl. Can't take a Benadryl. Benadryl contains animal byproducts.
Well,
it's
not been tested. But
Benadryl has not been tested to contain or not contain animal byproduct. However, people who've done these studies know that if you have alpha-gal and you take a Benadryl, it will increase your reaction. Okay, so even though they haven't tested for it, it's there, and you run into that with a lot of stuff we found. So you think of things that you do every day, things you take for granted. Okay, shampoo, washing the dishes, using a certain bar of soap, condiments that you would put on something. Well, it's not animal based; it's just ketchup. It's animal based. Okay, there's animal product in it. Okay. Pumping gasoline at the gas station. Okay? Amanda hasn't had this yet. But there are people that have alpha-gal that are extremely sensitive to it, that cannot pump gas because any petroleum product, oil, gas, transmission, whatever, okay, it's all has some kind of animal byproduct in it. So you get to a point where it's like, what do I do? You know, I mean, how do you live? Here's one that really blew her mind. My mind was blown a long time ago, but go to the, she has an app on her phone, okay, that you scan the barcode for whatever it is that tells you whether it's safe for you to have or not, okay? There are some bottled water that she cannot have because it is filtered through what is called bone char. Bone char is basically where they make charcoal out of bones, and it removes the impurities. And it's great, it's phenomenal to 99% of people on the planet. However, people that alpha-gal cannot have that because the bone that they're filtering it through, a certain amount of that gets into the water and stays there. And you can have an allergic reaction to it.
The same as sugar.
Yeah, sugar, same thing. Bleached flour, bread, literally, if you name it, there's a very good chance you can't have it. Now, you can have stuff that's not a mammal, okay? You can have fish, you can have chicken, you can have turkey, but you can't really have turkey if it's got any kind of other meat in it, and a lot of ground turkey does. A lot of chicken has been injected with other hormones to make it bigger, other growth hormones and stuff, and it reacts the same way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit of what alpha-gal really is. Obviously, I already said that it comes from a Lonestar tick. We'll show you where their range is. You know, there's some of y'all that don't have to worry about it because this tick that carries this disease is just not there. Okay? But it is spreading at an alarming rate. What was it, like 5 years ago? It was basically limited to Tennessee and that general area. And now it's from the eastern seaboard all the way across half of Oklahoma. Like this. So, alpha-gal is actually a sugar. I don't know if it's a sugar protein or if it's just a sugar. I'm a little confused on that part. But, no, it is a sugar. Because most things in your food are proteins, and this is actually attached to a sugar. And what it is primates, meaning humans, chimpanzees, monkeys, stuff like that, do not naturally produce this sugar, okay? Ticks, dogs, cats, deer, raccoons, possums, bears, whatever, do produce this sugar. Because of that, we are essentially allergic to it when it's introduced into our body through a tick bite, and basically your body has an allergic reaction to the foreign substance that's in it, much like if you had a cold or a flu. Your body reacts to that. You run a fever, you sweat, stuff like that. You have the exact same symptoms with alpha-gal. However, there's a lot more to that and a lot more triggers to it than that. And why don't you tell them a little more of the triggers, because you live with it, I just notice it.
Well, each person's different on their triggers and how they react. Some just break out with like a severe case of hives. With me, it gives me like if I eat it, it feels like I'm almost like I'm having a heart attack. I feel like everything's swelling up in here, and I feel pressure, and I break out with a really hot sweat, and I have tingly fingers, and to where it's like going all the way down my arm, almost like my whole arm is tingling and going numb.
Which is why they originally thought it was a heart attack, because she couldn't really breathe. She had tightness in her chest, and she was feeling tingling down her arm. Classic heart attack symptoms to a point.
And it's hard to tell that it was connected to food, because you wouldn't like eat it and instantly have a reaction. It takes 2 to 6 hours to have a reaction after you eat it. So it's hard to pinpoint what you're having. But then
I was going to say, however, your symptoms, I mean, your triggers aren't just eating it.
No.
If you touch it or if you smell it, which is what's really bad, and
Yeah.
that's how severe hers is.
Yeah, I have fumes, airborne.
Before we go there, I know it's like, well, how do you know how severe it is? Well, I don't know that they really know. There's some people say it's this way, some people say it's that way. However, they think that the longer the tick was attached to you, or the more tick bites that you've had. And this is like the span of your lifetime, okay? It's not necessarily just one tick bite that does it, okay? You could have been bitten by this tick when you were, let's just say, 10 years old. And a little bit of that was entered into your body. And then you got another one 10 years later. And then you had another one 15 years later. Well, now you've built up more and more in your body, and your body didn't really know what to do with it. And when you were younger, your body fought it off better. Now that you're older and now that it's built up in your system even more, you have more symptoms, and it affects you even more and harder, more harsh. And literally, the other day, we were at Pizza Hut, okay? And we all got salads. There was nobody else in the restaurant. And then the people behind us, they said a couple, or there was like,
No,
I think it was like four.
Us.
I think it was like 4 people, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
3 or 4. Well, they sat right behind us, and they brought them their pizza, and literally within a minute of the smell of their pizza with the cheese, because that's dairy, and the meat toppings and all of that, she had a reaction. She couldn't breathe, and she had to leave. So airborne is a lot worse. The thing is that you can kind of avoid airborne to an extent as long as you control your environment, but you can't control the outside world. You can't control what happens when you walk through a supermarket. You can't control what happens when you go to a state fair, when you go to the movies, when you go anywhere that you might go.
Just don't
okay?
go.
Yeah, you
Or
learn
if your neighbors are outside barbecuing.
There you go. Neighbors outside barbecuing, grilling up some steaks, and the wind's blowing from the wrong direction. Boom. Okay? So, yeah, your world literally turns upside down. And I know that this channel primarily we did homesteading. Okay? That's kind of how it started. We did the construction of the cabin. I'm getting ready to build another one over here. I've got my oldest son who we're going to be working on his tiny house hopefully this coming spring. He's got his money saved up and he's got a plan worked out. My 19-year-old who just started his freshman year at college, he's already kind of thinking about his and what he wants to have it. And my youngest one who is 18 and going off to the Marine Corps on Sunday. So 5 days from now, he'll be in the Marine Corps. He's actually technically already in. He's sworn in. He just hasn't gone to boot yet. But on Sunday, he leaves, goes to boot camp, and he'll be a United States Marine. Super proud of him. And he's already thinking about his house whenever he gets out. Now, granted, that's 5, 10, 20 years down the road, but, that all ties into this. I just went on a straight.
I know.
Straight, but hey.
Make me cry.
All right, so anyway, these are literally life-altering deals. And where I was going with that was, this has primarily been a homesteading channel, okay? And it still will be. We still work on the Jeeps, and I've still got a lot of work to Jeeps. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Jeeps here right now that need to be built, okay? I need to build
still a lot of building to go.
Yeah, I still got to build a shop even. So, that's part of this as well.
And still got to finish the cabin.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is the pretty wall. You didn't need that eyeball. But anyway, so we're still going to have that in there. And you may think earlier I said, hey, we can't have, some of the animals. Granted, we may have to get rid of the dogs. Our outside cat is probably fine, okay? The mules, hopefully we can keep Doc and Jenny. I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
Because just probably won't be able to handle them
right.
as much.
And once again, it comes down to like saliva,
Or sweat.
Yeah, holding them, rubbing them, loving them whenever they're hot and sweaty.
The only time I think it'll become a problem is if they're feces start to affect me, then
which so far it hasn't. So far, the none of their yep. Dude, I'm a hunter. I want to call it scat, but their none of their manure has had an effect on her. We still have the geese. We have the rabbits. So far, they haven't affected her. Okay, but then again, it's not a saliva thing. You know, we go up, we feed them. We don't really pick the geese up and love on them, but geese aren't mammals, so therefore it shouldn't affect her.
The geese shouldn't.
The rabbits, they haven't really affected her, and then again, we don't pick up the rabbits and love on them all the time. So she wants to. Trust me, she wants to. But like I said, with the dogs, the ones in the backyard are probably okay. Unless it comes to having to actually be in there with them, which me or one of the boys can go in and take care of them. They will be eventually. I mean, Gus will still be around, and Bo will be around, you know, at time to time. So, to get all this back to where I was saying, we're going to designate a portion of this channel to alpha-gal syndrome and living with it and coping with it. And what I'll do is I'll create a playlist that's just for that. Or Amanda has dedicated her YouTube channel, which I'll put a link down below. I may scroll it across the screen right in here somewhere, but I'll put a link in the description to her channel. And her channel is going to be nothing but stuff about the alpha-gal syndrome and living with it from day to day, learning what you can eat, what you can't eat, what you can cook, products that you can and can't use, different tricks, and I don't guess they're really tricks, I guess different ideas in how to deal with it, and hopefully, you know, it kind of catches on. Maybe some of y'all go check out her channel, spread it with your friends, because literally they say that in this area where we are, 15 in every 1,000 people have it. Okay, just most people don't know that's what they have. Okay,
growing.
And it reminds me of the old the Progressive commercials for Thanksgiving when Flo was being all the other people, you know, and there was the Thanksgiving one, and the guy goes, "Oh, I got the meat sweats." That's what it could be. You eat, you get tired, you feel like crap, and you're sweating, and you kind of running a fever. Maybe that's what you have, you know, because literally that was her first symptoms too. And a lot of people, that is their first symptoms, and they're very mild. You know, you give it 20, 30 minutes, and it's gone.
Or they're having very bad stomach issues.
Yeah, a lot of stomach issues caused by it. And so, you know, we just kind of want to use this opportunity in our limited audience that we have here. Hopefully it grows, but we want to use that to kind of get the word out and educate as well, because it's hard to go from having literally 3 deer in the freezer and a hog to we can no longer cook and eat that around Amanda. And dude, I love some venison. I mean, you know, I love some fresh hog. We love to hunt. Some people don't agree with that. That's fine. I'm not going to persecute you for your beliefs. Don't come at me for mine, okay? So what can we do? Well, we can still turkey hunt. We can still go dove hunting, duck hunting, stuff like that. So we just change our game to match what she can do, okay? It's not the end of the world. It's not an obstacle that we can't cross. You know, we can change our lives to fit hers. And what we want to do is help show anybody out there who does have this, who is struggling with this, that, hey, you can still do the things that you love to do. It's not the end of the world. So, go ahead, say whatever you want to say. I see you sitting there head bobbing.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, it's not easy, and it's still probably not going to be easy, but it's a life-altering change. And
I hate to break anyone's heart out there because it broke hers, okay? She literally cried. You cannot have A&W root beer anymore. Ever. And that's like the go-to right there. I mean, it doesn't matter. Root beer float, you can't have it.
Nope.
So,
It's got animal byproducts in root beer.
and here's the bad thing. Today's video is brought to you by the letters C, O, F, and E. Also coffee. That's those same letters. As you know, we have a coffee company. We have had to go through and contact them and make sure that our coffee does not have any animal byproduct in it. And I believe there was 2. Is that correct? There was either 2 or 3 that did possibly have animal byproduct in it that we no longer carry. Okay? So if you have Alpha Gal and you like good coffee, come on over, check us out. I'll put a link to that down below. We have done everything we can to eliminate all of that from our product. Not trying to push coffee on anybody, just letting you know, hey, if you go buy Folgers in a grocery store, you can't have it if you have Alpha Gal. Okay? You would literally be amazed at the list of the stuff you cannot have. Okay? Let's see. I don't have to worry about this. Okay? Shaving cream, shaving gel. Can't do it. So, yes, I go to bed every night with a hugging Sasquatch. Alright, maybe not, but those are things that you don't think about because you think about it and everybody says it's an allergy to red meat. Well, there's no red meat, you know, I mean, you're not in there lathering your leg up with a steak. But, you know.
I never used shaving cream anyway, so.
She never shaved.
Oh.
She never shaved. No. But there are a lot of things that you can't use, okay? My brother actually brought up an interesting thing today, and we don't know about this. We know that she can't have red meat. She works at Walmart, and when you do your little online order, she's the one that pulls your product, puts it in a deal, whatever it's called. She has a name for it. It's called a...
What my job is?
No, what do you put the food in? What's that thingy called that you push it? Okay, it's not just a tote. There's some other name she calls it, and I don't know what it is. But anyway, so she takes your product and she puts it in there, and then she takes it back, and they put it all together, and then they wheel it out to your car. Okay, that's what she does. Now, because of what she has, I got to give it to Walmart. They worked with her and said, hey, okay, you have this. You don't have to do this part of it. If it's meat, somebody else will do it. Okay? So that's good. But the question is, can you catch it? Or can you have a reaction, not catch it, because you catch it from a Lonestar tick, okay?
Can you have a reaction? Can
you have a reaction to the wrapping around the product? Say that, you know, Walmart sells whatever it is. We never buy it. What is that hamburger that they sell in the big freaking tube, like 5 pound, 10 pound, whatever it is? And we don't buy that, but can you get it from that wrapper? You know, theoretically, you would say no because the meat's on the inside, okay? But there's a chance that it got on the outside, okay? That some of the residue is still there.
Well, see, I think that was... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But, like, when I was in the break room that day and had that really bad reaction to where I couldn't catch my breath and I felt like I was being choked and I was coughing really bad, there was nobody eating food in the break room, but we believe it was where someone had ate at the table
and dropped something on the table,
and where I had touched the table, or where it was just there and I was just breathing in what was still on the table that we didn't see.
Right. So, not that it's dirty and not that it stank or anything like that, but perfect example. Generally, we cook out of cast iron. Can't do that because it's porous, and so if there's any beef or anything like that, venison, a lot of that been cooked in some cast iron around here, but that could still be in the pores of that pan. And even though she cooks chicken and cooks it all clean and everything like that, because of the porous nature of a cast iron pan, she could get cross contamination and have a reaction. Same thing goes for Teflon non-stick. Basically, we had to go and get a whole new set of pans that are ceramic. You know, they're ceramic coated because ceramic is not porous and you can clean it, which brings up another one. Right now, we're not sure. She may be allergic to Dawn dish soap. Okay, so it literally, there are so many things that you cannot even think of. So, like I said, we're going to add a segment. Come on, Lou. Sorry, she's rolling around in the floor. We're going to designate, we're going to dedicate, not designate, we're going to dedicate a certain, maybe one video a week or something like that, here geared towards alpha gal and learning to live with it. Now Amanda's YouTube channel, which like I said, link in the description, it will be almost entirely dedicated to this. You also have a TikTok, and I know your all your social media for the most part is geared towards this now. That's how life altering it is. So, what else you got?
So I was gonna say, you was talking about the pots and pans. I read a story because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups too, that of other people talking about it. And so there was a guy that was talking how his wife was cooking a safe meal for him, but his daughter came in and she was cooking a pizza. All it was a cheese pizza, but the cheese got into the oven and it was burning, and it caused him to have a really bad reaction just off of the cheese burning inside the...
Perfect example. Right after she found out this, we're talking like day 1, day 2 of knowing. She stopped by Taco Mayo to get dinner for me and Thump. Was Bo still here? Or was he already at college? I think it was just me and Thump.
I think it was just you and Thump.
And just riding in the Jeep, okay, with it in the passenger seat, she had a reaction, okay? She didn't touch it, she didn't lick it, she did nothing. Just the smell of it and the fumes and the vapors and all of that.
That's it.
Caused her to have a reaction. Yeah, in a bag. So it can be pretty bad. So anyway, we've already talked longer than I ever intended to because I wanted to keep it short, simple, just an introduction to it. But that is our life with Alpha Gal. I don't have it. She does. She's the infected one. Y'all have a good night. Be blessed and take care.